Assalamualaikum. Welcome to Member Spotlight by Anite Muslim Chamber of Business. MCOB is a membership-based social enterprise with a mission to create a thriving Muslim business community. It's the power of collective wisdom, continued learning, and thought leadership brought together for Muslims by Muslims. Our core belief is that Muslim leaders, business leaders thrive when they have access to a supportive community of peers who challenge and inspire each other. Today, we have with us our member, Syed Hussain. Syed is a visionary global executive, thought leader, and serial entrepreneur with over 2 decades of experience at the crossroads of technology and finance. As the founder and CEO of SHIZA, which stands for Sovereign Human Intellect Zonal Agents, Syed is pioneering the future of AI by creating sovereign AI powered agents that allow individuals to own and monetize their knowledge and experience, putting the power of artificial intelligence back into human hands. Welcome, Syed.
Thank you, Kashif. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam. You have very interesting background, and I would love to learn from you how you started on this entrepreneur journey and where you are now.
Sure. I guess before I get kickstarted, I do want to make one distinction in this fabulous introduction that you gave about Saeed. The reality is that Saeed is a dummy who's realized how dumb he actually is. So what Saeed has done is he's surrounded himself with people that are a lot smarter than he is, which has been the reason behind Saeed's success. So that's with that out of the way. Happy to walk you guys through a very brief sort of overview on my background. So my background comprises of about 2.5 decades in the world of data, and in some capacity or the other. So I launched my first company when I was a senior in high school. That was when the whole .com boom was just starting to come up. And then from an industry perspective, my focus has primarily been on the within the capital market. So out of high school, I went to go work for GE. I was with GE Corporate, but the one business unit that intrigued me the most was GE Capital. That's really where my affinity towards the capital markets grew, and I just decided to just jump into that world. So started getting exposure into investment banking, private equity, M&A, trading, asset management. I was with Credit Suisse, which is where I got the brunt of all of my experiences over there. And then I used to also be the global head of data and analytics for Neuberger Berman, which used to be the asset management division of Lehman Brothers. So post Lehman collapse, I went in, helped them split away from the Barclays entity at that time that had taken over all of Lehman's assets, and we split that off, went independent, and built out from the ground up essentially their data and analytics division, which was comprised of ETL, business intelligence. So did all of that, and then it was a lot of fun. But then once I started to get to this position where that chaos started to go away, I started getting antsy again, and that's when I decided to leave that world and go back into the towards my entrepreneurial endeavors once again. So I ended up launching a company focusing on natural language processing, data visualization, and geospatial analytics. Ended up getting picked up by a larger firm, was running that over there, and that's when I started getting exposure to this thing called Bitcoin, which I came in as a cynic of, only to read Satoshi's white paper, and was completely blown away by the implications of this underlying technology that was powering it, called blockchain. Knew that is where really the future was going towards, and started to think back from my capital markets days again, and started viewing this as being the enabler of what we called securitization 2.0, and ended up becoming a massive believer in the future of where the markets are going to end up going. So joined this project called BANKEX, which was one of the top blockchain projects in the space. They literally wrote the paper on the proof of asset protocol. I was a key contributor over there. Joined them as their global chief commercial officer. Eventually ended up becoming the CEO of the Americas for them. But then the founder and I, we didn't really see eye to eye in terms of our path to execution. He wanted to focus more on the retail side of things. I wanted to focus more on the institutional side of things, and decided to part ways. Told my team the next day that I had resigned, at which point they decided to collectively resign, follow me. And that was essentially the genesis behind Liquidity Digital, where we were building out a capital markets ecosystem on top of this thing called the zero knowledge proof, or ZKP, that would allow institutions to be able to share deal flow with one another without exposing their most valuable asset, which is their investor network. So built that out, got it up to a multi-million-dollar post-money valuation, and we had our first institutional check that was slated to come in, and then right a week before that was scheduled to come in, we get ghosted by our investors, and this was right before the FTX collapse and just the collapse of the markets and whatnot that started to happen within the crypto realm over there. So my co-founders and whatnot, everyone likes to think they're an entrepreneur until they're faced with the real challenge of what it takes to be an entrepreneur, which is adversity. So they went and got themselves jobs, recommended that I do the same, and I clarified to them that the only problem is that I'm not as sane of a person as you are. So you guys continue going down that path. I'm going to continue down this path, and I'm going to double and triple down on it. And that's where sort of this watershed moment, timing wise, with ChatGPT happened. And what we did was I started to take that and started to build on top of that. Essentially, ended up creating the first agentic solution, which was a due diligence analyst built on top of ChatGPT, essentially as a ChatGPT wrapper. Started getting a lot of positive feedback on that, was going to go to the market with that, but then decided not to, because what I realized was, as I stated when we kicked this session off, that if a dummy like me could build something so quickly, so powerful, with such less resources, then the reality is that there is going to end up being this mass proliferation in these agentic solutions that's going to be coming into the market. And if that's going to be the case, then rather than position ourselves on something which in the next 12 to 18 months is going to end up getting commoditized, let's start to really think about what does a post-agentic world look like. And in thinking about that and building out a solution for a post-agentic world, that essentially is what led to the genesis of this concept of shared human intellect zonal agents, or SHIZA.ai, which is currently where I am now the founder and the humble CEO of.
Chief Everything Officer, right?
Chief Everything Officer, for sure. Especially when everything is going wrong. When everything goes right, it's on the team. When everything goes wrong, it's on me.
Yes, true. So share with us what exactly SHIZA does.
Okay, good question. So let's I said sort of introduced a new terminology here when I said post-agentic. I think it's important to understand what we mean by post-agentic. So I did a talk on agents and agentic systems and whatnot just last night. Everyone has heard everything that you're listening to today. It's all about AI agents, right? What AI agents are going to allow you to do is they allow you to automate and streamline existing processes. So when we say post-agentic, what we're talking about is what does the world look like once agents become a reality and they're a part and parcel of every single system that we're a part of today. And what that means is that for us, the way that we're looking at it is that in this world, these automation of all of these agents that are going to be able to communicate with one another, leading to agentic swarms, those agentic swarms will then lead to the automation of tasks. The automation of those tasks will then lead to the automation of processes, and those automation of processes will then ultimately lead to the automation of jobs. And unlike most people in the space that are sort of pity-patting around this controversial issue of job loss through AI, and saying that it's not the the AI that's going to replace you, which the like Mark Cuban's dopey quote around, it's not the AI that's going to replace you, it's the person that knows the AI that's going to replace you. No, absolutely not. We're saying that the AI will replace you. And when we say you, meaning your job will be gone. That's an inevitability that will absolutely happen. We're doubling and tripling down on that. That is the basis of what our thesis is. That those jobs will end up getting replaced, massively replaced. Now, is there going to be 100% replacement of all kinds of jobs? Absolutely not. But it is going to be. Is there also going to be a 10% replacement? We're saying absolutely not on that as well. It's going to be pretty high. It's going to be a pretty high sort of. Goldman Sachs has recently just come up with a study, and they said that by 2030, over 300 million jobs are going to be lost. We're thinking it's going to be actually a lot more than that, and we're already starting to see the effects of a lot of those things. So when those jobs do end up getting replaced, what is it? How is it that us as humans? How is it that we're gonna earn our value? Because for us to earn our value today, it's through the monetization of our labor. And historically, we've been a very labor-driven society. Whether it's manual labor, physical labor, creative labor, intellectual labor, right? It's labor, nevertheless, that we get monetized on. However, labor is an encapsulation of two components. The output is the labor, and the input is the experience that we have, right? That's why they hire individuals, right? So if I were to hire Kashif, it's because of his experience that he's going to output his labor into, but I'm going to monetize you on the labor, right? It's a collective of the two coming together. This is going to be for the first time in human history where the two get split, right? The two get split where your input, your experience is separate than the output, which is the actual labor that you're producing into. Because if an agent, if an algorithm can replace your labor, and it will, what happens to you? So for us, what we're saying is that in that instance, that agent that's going to replace your labor, you better make sure you own that agent, as opposed to some centralized entity like an OpenAI or like a Google or like an Anthropic that would own that. So the first part of this is that we're solving for is what we call AI ownership, right? Which is solved through the notion of decentralized AI. So now you guys can also understand where that background coming from Web3, coming from blockchain, right? How that decentralization, how that were to be taking place, right? Like what would be the rails that you would build on top of? So it's a convergence for SHIZA. It's a convergence of Web3 and AI coming together. That's one, is the AI ownership, right? Giving people the ability to be able to own those agents that are going to replace them. The second thing is that in this near future, that's going to be coming up our way in this post-agentic world, data already commoditized. LLMs will be commoditized. Agents will also be commoditized. So all of these things that we perceive to be assets today, the question is, if they end up becoming commodities, what's the asset of the future? What we're saying is that asset is going to be the novel human experience. Remember when we were talking about earlier about that input component of it, which is your novel experience? That experience is what these machines, what these algorithms, what these agents are going to be craving for. That's going to end up becoming the most valuable asset that people that they're going to require, because agents can very easily replicate labor. The one thing they cannot do is create genuine experiences, right? And there's a lot of talk around, well, what about synthetic data? Synthetic data can do it if you give a machine enough data. It's able to create, it's able to produce and show creativity with through the data that it's been fed, right? And this is where synthetic data comes into play. But the answer there is no, you're wrong. The reason you're wrong is because synthetic data is a subset within a superset, and that superset is still limited to the experiences that you gain. Humans have this innate ability to be able to produce those experiences, to be able to gain those experiences, because logic goes out the window when it comes to those things. So this is where the value of that novel human experience becomes so much more valuable, and that ends up becoming the asset of the future. So the ability to be able to capture your novel human experience, own that novel human experience, and then be able to monetize on that novel human experience. This is where the economy of the future ends up going, in a world where machines and algorithms are essentially getting everything from all kinds of data that's outside, but your novel human experience is going to end up becoming the most valuable asset that you will be able to monetize off of. So to be able to build out the ecosystem to be able to monetize on each and every one of those components, on those aspects, is essentially the ecosystem that SHIZA is building.
All right. So how far are you in your journey?
So we started out last year. Um, and alhamdulillah, we've been making some phenomenal progress. We officially came out of stealth mode um, in December. And Kashif, you've been a part of our journey from the beginning when we first launched SHIZA. That's in those beginning stages was when we joined AmCop. So shout out to AmCop and all the support that you guys have provided. We actually got one of my goals was to try to get more and more of our people involved in taking on some risks, because generally we don't take risks. We're actually very incredibly risk averse, even though our dean encourages us to take on risks. So one of my goals was to try to get at least some folks from within our community involved in this. And I got that directly from AmCob, right? And as a matter of fact, from our peer advisory groups, that's what they're called, right? What do we call those weekly? Those monthly sessions, Kashif?
Yeah, peer advisory groups.
The peer advisory group. So this is I'm also, and I promise you guys, Kashif did not pay me to, or neither did he ask me to give a shout out or to talk about AmCop, but phenomenal. But he did ask me the question around, how we're doing and sort of, our growth and whatnot. And I'm attributing this directly to AmCop. So because the folks from our peer advisory groups, when we're talking about this, not only did they serve as advisors, but they also served as very, very early sort of angel investors as well. That came into this. So shout outs to Junaid, and shout out to Muhammad as well. We came out of stealth in December, and after that, we started to get a lot of traction. We started to get a lot of focus on us. FinTech TV, we were showcased there. The product came. We launched our first product, because one of the things that we say at SHIZA, right? Our slogan is "Own your AI before AI owns you." But before you can own your AI, you need to be able to build your AI. In order to be able to build your AI, this is where we launched our first product, which is called SHIZA Developer, which is a low to no code, drag and drop, very easy to use solution in which you can span across multiple LLMs, be able to utilize and build out multiple tools, create your own agentic solutions. So that was the first product that we came out with. This was in January. We did our closed beta. And then towards the end of January, alhamdulillah, we ended up becoming revenue positive. And then in February, we established some key partnerships. In March, we announced we ended up becoming an AI engine for a pretty decent L2 protocol called Morpheus AI. I'm sorry, L3 protocol called Morpheus AI, which increased our revenue by 12x. So we were able to accomplish all of those things, and within a quarter of us coming in. So I would say the trajectory, alhamdulillah, it's been going phenomenal, and now that we've been able to sort of prove PMF and whatnot. Now we're starting to do our larger raise that we're looking into, which was one of the reasons why I've been on this crazy travel schedule on our roadshow. I was in Dubai, just got back from there yesterday morning, and tomorrow I'm flying out to Bermuda, and then followed by Toronto and then Vegas. So we're dead smack in the middle of our raise right now, and alhamdulillah, got a phenomenal team, and we're continuing to grow, and we're continuing to build out, and really looking to revolutionize this and build out where the next phase of the economy is going to go, what we call, again, shifting away from a labor driven economy, which historically we've been focused on as humanity, into what I call an intellect driven digital economy.
Okay, all right. Our best wishes are with you on your journey, and more success, inshallah, will come to you. Last question to you: what would be the message you would like to give your fellow entrepreneurs?
Do it. Just do it. Right? Nike. Just do it. I think especially within my fellow entrepreneurs, there's a difference in what I would say it. The question is, are you saying my fellow entrepreneurs generally, or are you saying my fellow Muslim entrepreneurs? Because there is a difference, and the big difference is that what could be common sense does not apply to my fellow Muslim entrepreneurs, which is that we again, like I said, we just don't have the capacity to be able to take risks, right? We question ourselves too much. And my advice would be careful about listening to the advice that you receive from within the community, because generally speaking, we lack, and I know this is a Muslim show, so I'll just say the cojones. Let's just say that, right? I'll keep it that way. We lack the ability to be able to take on risks. So don't be afraid to take on that kind of risk, and don't overthink, man. Don't overthink. Go with your gut. If you think that's, this is something that you want to do, go with it. What's the worst that can happen? You're going to fail. Okay. Wow. Welcome to entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is achieving success through failure. But if you're afraid to fail, you're never going to be able to achieve success. And unfortunately, within our community, that's one of the reasons why most people don't end up taking on, entrepreneurship, is because of this fear of failure that we have. So don't be afraid to fail. If you have an idea, right, just push forward on it. Go with your gut. Of course, find good advisors, but also be careful about advice, because if someone is giving you so much advice, the question you should ask them back is, why aren't you doing it if you were so good at giving advice? So don't be afraid to challenge them, and ultimately go with your gut. And if you and what's the worst that's going to happen? You fail, great, alhamdulillah. If you fail, that just means you're one step closer to success.
All right, that's a very good advice. Thank you so much, Syed, for being part of this journey and sharing your journey with us.
Awesome, thank you, Kashif. It was this was fantastic. Again, huge supporter of AMCOB. Anyone, if you guys haven't joined yet, then my suggestion would be to join. So this will be my second advice, right? So for Muslim entrepreneurs, this is the unsolicited advice. The first one was solicited. This one I'll give you as unsolicited advice. My unsolicited advice is, if you're looking to be an entrepreneur, if you're considering it, join AMCOB. It's probably going to be for those who are, who don't want to take or want to mitigate their risk as much as they possibly can. It'll only cost you, a couple of shekels in a month to join this, but the kind of advice you're going to be able to get, and the ability to be able to hone in on your idea and improve upon it, is going to be it'll be well worth it. So that's my unsolicited advice of the day. Join AMCOB.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Syed.
You got it, Kashif.
All right.
Thanks, brother.
You.
All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.